What about you were also at the Tyson Fury fight against Schwartz. What did you think of what some people are calling an exhibition fight?
Well, look, I thought Tyson looked terrific. He looked like the most skillful heavyweight in the world. He for a man who is 6'9", he is so light on his feet. He has got such fluid punches, such beautiful movement, and there's a lot of similarities between him and some of the most graceful heavyweights of all time. I think it was a big difference from the Tyson that we saw fight Deontay Wilder last December, where he was still adjusting to the 140 pound, the 10 stone of weight that he had to drop to fight Deontay Wilder. I had him here in my gym training with Joe one day about 2 weeks ago, and Tyson and Ben and the team came in, and he looked so well. He looked healthy. He's now made that adjustment. He is a much more complete fighter now than the man who fought Deontay Wilder in December last year. Look, Tyson coming on the back of a devastating knockout by Deontay Wilder over Dominic Brazil, and of course Andy Ruiz's shocking the world by dropping Joshua 4 times. There was pressure on him for his first fight on ESPN to look great, to put his hand up and say, look, these other guys may be faltering, but I've got my act together. And I think he is not only physically but mentally, he is far more complete now than he has been in the last couple of years, which makes things exciting moving forward. Tyson, I think, is going to be a handful for anyone in the heavyweight division. The only thing is, look, Bob Arum did his job. He lined up an undefeated opponent, a guy that was ranked number 2 with the WBO, Tom Schwartz, but just completely, absolutely ironic, it's probably not the right word, bonkers, that Tom Schwartz, number 2 in the world with the WBO, and yet he's ranked number 7 in Germany, where he lives, as the 7th best heavyweight in Germany. Tom had never ever fought a ranked fighter. At the age of 25 and a record of 24-0, he had been more protected than any other heavyweight of recent times. You cannot develop a fighter without giving him small tests and small challenges along the way to enable him to better his game and to prove his skill set. Really, it came down to, it was an embarrassing performance because Tom simply couldn't fight.
Mm-hmm. Talking about doing a rematch next year, do you think Fury comes in even better now that he had, he's not having to lose 140 pounds, he got this fight in plus probably one more?
Look, I think that Tyson Fury, that time has actually been his friend. He is going to be a much bigger handful for Deontay Wilder in the rematch. Sure, we know that Deontay has, uncommon one-punch power, probably the biggest puncher in the heavyweight division in the last decade. The statistics will prove that and show that. But also one of the fighters that, I look at the fight against Tyson Fury last December, and Deontay went time and time again with the same combination and missed time and time again. He's going to have to make some serious adjustments if he plans on landing that uncommon right hand that he has. We know it's a great equalizer, but for it to be an equalizer, it has to be able to hit the target.
But first, he has to beat Ortiz again. Ortiz almost knocked him out. But the last couple of fights from Ortiz, he looks like maybe age is starting to catch up to him. What do you think of that rematch?
Father Time is something that no one can wind back. And as you just suggested, his last 2 fights, he looked very old and laboring. His punches were slow. He didn't have the damaging effect that he had earlier in his career. So look, I would expect Deontay to make a much easier job of Ortiz in the rematch.
And yeah, it seems like right now the heavyweight division is on fire. We've mentioned all the those top names, but you have all the other fights still coming up. Like you mentioned, Dillian White's fighting Rivas. You have Dubois fighting against Gorman, which is a big fight in the UK. Can you comment on that fight?
Look, there are so many heavyweight fights out there. Gorman and Dubois are two guys. Look, I've been looking in the background. I haven't been studying them close up. I don't think you have time to look at every single fighter out there, and so look, I can't really comment on that fight other than I know it's a major fight in the UK. Both guys have good support over there, good following, and the winner of the fight will definitely put his hand up as somebody, a prospect moving forward.
And what about another guy you were almost fought before? He's going to be fighting another prospect, and Joe Joyce is fighting Bryant Jennings. What do you think of that fight?
Look, I think that's a really good fight. I think Jennings will be a little bit disappointed of himself in the Oscar Rivas fight. It's a fight that I disagree with the judging in that fight. Two judges had Rivas ahead on points after 11 rounds. There is no way in this world that Rivas was ahead on points. I thought Jennings was doing a beautiful job outboxing him. He got clipped in the last round, and Rivas pulled off a spectacular win. Him and Dillian White, I think, are a really good fight, and I look forward to seeing those two guys go at it. But while you're talking about Bryant Jennings, Top Rank did a really good job of getting him right back into the mix, into title contention, only for him to lose against Rivas. Joe Joyce, as we've seen, in a very short time, they have been very adventurous with the opponents they've been putting him in with. He is on a fast track to get the biggest fights he possibly can. Joe's not the fastest guy out there, but he's very well managed. He's a fighter that loves to train and is always in the gym. He is relentless, and because of that relentless style, I see him being possibly too powerful, too busy for an aging Bryant Jennings.
And to wrap it up, if everything goes well in the Leopai fight, no injuries or anything, when do you guys want to get back in the ring?
As soon as we possibly can. Joe has said, look, we got this year off to a slow start. We're fighting June 29th. We plan on putting on a terrific performance. There'll be a little bit of time off. Joe's third daughter was born the second week of this training camp, so he's dying to hold her in his arms. And after that, he'll be straight back into camp. We'd like to fight 2 more times this year, end of September and maybe sometime in the end of November or early December. We've said to Eddie, now that we've signed this deal with Matchroom, keep us busy. Joe wants to fight, and he's also very well aware that the things in world boxing are changing so fast, and you've got to keep yourself in shape at all times and be prepared to be that guy who can step in at any given time. Andy Ruiz showed why. Joseph Parker came back to me this training camp on his fight weight for the first time in the 6.5 years that we've worked together. So I think, Joe now understands he must be ready to go at all times.
Sounds good. Thank you for your time.
Pleasure.